Okay, this is my pitch for the film. Don't forget to smile. It's it's a film I came up with from a couple of the inspirations you'll see later on, and a couple of them I've used just more locally. But anyway, start with the plot. It's probably the most important thing. Okay, the plot. So this is the nice long description of the plot, but essentially it's set in a world where everyone has to smile. It's not only seen as a social thing to do, like it's socially accepted that you must smile, and it's actually shunned that you don't, but it's more, there's a certain fear around not smiling, because sort of like there's myths around these people known as face changers, who will take people who are not smiling and force them to, using hooks and stuff. It's all very fun. We follow a young teenager who can't take medication that's given to people, so to help them smile they take stuff called Smile a While, which essentially, it helps the muscles in your mouth to lift up and smile the entire time, and actually holds your smile for you, which you can't do for that long amount of time anyway. So, but this teenager can't take it, he can't stomach it, it's either having a bad reaction with him or he just keeps throwing it up. It's not fun, and he has to hold up his own smile then, because he's terrified of these creatures. Now, we start to follow his life and stuff, and we think, okay, maybe he can get away with it, frowning when nobody's looking for that. But then he gets a letter to explain to him that his granddad's died. It's very depressing. You physically can't hold a smile at that point. He goes to the funeral, and at the funeral there's every member of the family sitting there beaming with a stupid smile on their face. They're all upset, but they still have to hold up these smiles because of the medication they can take. And people can't talk as well, and they have to eat soup. It's all very dramatic. But he can't hold up this smile, and he's getting very depressed, and he's seeing these creatures everywhere he goes. They're known for their surgical masks that they wear over their mouths. They're like normal people, but they'll have the mask over their face. And he has nightmares about them constantly. And he's at the wake of the funeral now, and he's been at the funeral. It's all very depressing, and he can't stand it. And he meets this girl who explains to him that actually you can hide. You don't have to smile all the time. You can hide it very easily. You can fake your smile. You don't have to smile stupidly. And even then, the fact that she can say that and can say, "I don't smile," means that the creatures don't exist. And this makes him quite happy. He thinks, okay, I don't have to smile, but now I kind of want to and stuff, so he starts hiding it. The issue is that the next day when he finds her, she's been caught and has hooks inserted into her mouth and pulled up smile, and that he can't take it, and tragically he kills himself by slicing his mouth from side to side into a smile. Very Joker-esque, but yes, that's the depressing plot synopsis. Target audience. I consider them to be quite a niche market, but then again it's quite a broad range from the age-wise. So you're going to have very artsy students looking at this. I don't think it's the sort of general market thing people want to watch. It could be something you enjoy watching, but more for the artistic value of it, for the storyline. It's quite depressing, I think. So 18 to 40-year-olds is probably where you find the top film-watching artsy audience, in my opinion. I mean, you possibly go above that, but I don't think below 18 you're going to find as committed audience, perhaps. I think predominantly male, considering that we've got a male protagonist. That's almost exclusively the reason here, considering that, I wouldn't say that one gender would appreciate it more than the other, but if I had to choose, I'd say male, because we're following a male protagonist and he's probably easier to relate to than this. And also there's the idea that, as well, because there's the idea for women as well, that perhaps wearing makeup is the equivalent, and the idea that actually you're forced to do something by society and you're shunned for not doing it, so there's that element. Anyway, I put down male because I thought that's where it'd be, I'd say middle to upper class background, because that's the sort of cinema going audience who can not only afford to go watch big blockbusters, but at the same time can go to the BFI, know that area and enjoy the South Bank, stuff like that. Social preferences would be film related and possibly psychology and philosophy students. So anyone interested in sort of how the mind works and the effects of society and such. So similar works which would have crossovers are like 1984, other dystopias, the idea that 1984 especially is a case where everything's controlled by an outer force and there's sort of this semi-mythological reason behind it. But anyway, that's where the potential crossover is. And yeah, I don't think there would be a I mean, the secondary audience is just going to be anyone interested in short film, essentially, at all, which I suppose is covered by that, but yeah, I wouldn't say there's a direct secondary audience as such. Go on to the inspirations. Now, there's a thing called Fallen Floyd, there's going to be a posture there, which is a beautifully animated film which I found about a guy who plays the trumpet to make money to buy his girlfriend a ring, and then she rejects him, and he gets very depressed and stuff. And now, in my film, I intend to have a small animated sequence represented in his nightmare, where everything has to be very depressing. And these shots alone show that actually with colours like purple and stuff like that, you can actually get a very depressed feel around something. And I like the idea of using that sort of dulled down colour sequence. So you could say they're very bright colours, because you've got like mauve, purple, burgundy stuff, and they're all quite royal colours almost, but at the same time they can be used as very depressing and alcoholic almost. See, I intend to use this sort of filtering technique of choosing one colour and doing a range of that, because I think that's why this is depressing. There's no contrast between the red to the blue. It's just red to blue. There's no other bright colours in that to join it, except for the yellow, which is irritating me now. Anyway, but that's almost started. That's behind. That's cool. Yeah, next one, please. Good Grief is one about it's a woman whose mum passes away and she goes and meets her dad, talks to him and stuff. But I like the idea that actually they also made it quite depressingly dull, because that's quite a suburban house, and the colours they use throughout very much, nothing's bright and colourful, and the idea of surrounding death, you can use that rather than going obviously everything has to be black and white and very noir. You can go depressingly real. So there's no bright filters on it, there's no... I mean, weather in the UK is sort of ideal, because it's always sort of grey, white colour, more nowadays especially. No bright blue skies, that sort of stuff. And a shot of a medicine bottle, I want to use something similar to that for Smile a While, which is taken in pill form, it's medication there. Yeah, so I'm essentially not stealing. I'm using these as examples that I might replicate. This is an inspiration rather than an actual short film, because I had trouble finding them, but this is, I think, where I got my original inspiration from. The Joker's storyline, Death of the Family. Essentially, the idea is that his face is held on with wires and hooks and stuff, and that got me thinking about how you could use that on normal people and stuff, and he actually does that. So I think the idea of the changes and how they work in manipulating people's smiles comes from the Joker originally. And yeah, I like this idea of using hooks in those places as well, because it just looks really sinister and uncomfortable. But you could probably get away with that on an actor without it being uncomfortable. And I think this is the last inspiration. Tim Burton, his use of colour sequences, storylines as well to make them very depressing. I think what's funny is that in Edward Scissorhands, the thing which we probably find most creepy isn't his life, which is all hideous robotic things and scissors for hands. It's the suburban lifestyle surrounding it. So it's the idea that we're following a protagonist who to them is probably the weirdest person, probably quite terrifying. But we fear them. They're a very creepy society where everyone has their own coloured house, and they've all got stupid hairstyles, and they're all trying to feed him food at barbecues and stuff like that. And the idea that society is the sort of is the evil presence. And another Sleepy Hollow, another one where the town is what's a bit sinister about it. Question-wise, because I think the next one is just thanks for listening. But anyway, question-wise, for the film itself, I'm needing to find a load of locations. Now, I'm wondering whether I combine a couple of things together, because the idea was originally to have him at the wake, see this person and stuff, or whether to do that at a separate location. Now, I'm wondering whether it's worth me reusing a location twice for two separate scenes, or combining the two scenes together to one scene, or having them as two separate scenes, or whether that would run over time.
Can you explain it one more time?
Which bit, the question or everything?
Yeah, the question.
Okay, cool. The question is, I'm thinking about, because originally I had one scene was going to be him at the wake, where it's getting very depressed, and one scene was where he meets the girl who tells him that she doesn't smile. Now, I considered combining those two things together into one scene where she meets him at the wake. Now,
Yeah, that's what.
that would work.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool,
She meets him at the wake. I think that'd be better.
awesome, that works.
Where are you doing the wake?
I have no idea at the moment. That's currently what I'm focusing everything on, is location finding, because I've got a horde of actors. I've got filming ready, I've got filters I know I'm going to use and stuff like that, but locations are just difficult to find because everywhere I seem to go is sort of, it's not bland enough. Everyone's trying to make everything
You
cool.
could go to find like an oldie woldy pub and have and just say, look, can I come in at kind of 7 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday or something where there's nobody there and you can set it up, because lots
Yeah.
of people do kind of wakes in pubs, and they probably would be quite happy for you to do that if you're doing it in the morning and it's not encroaching on their time. And those can be really dull and really bland if you want them to be. You can make them look lovely and cosy as well, but in
Yeah, you
your
can make them look
respect,
really bland. And
yeah. So
Cool.
think about pub maybe, but not obviously your ultra modern